Say, what's this homestand been like? I mean, each of the games has been so competitive, and you all have come through in the clutch in all of them. What's that felt like as a team, and what do you think it kind of says about the togetherness of the group?
Oh, it's been good. I think we've definitely been able to grow as a team during this stretch. We played some really competitive games, learned a lot about ourselves, things that we need to work on, things that we proved that we could, do as a unit. It was a good test for us, and I think it's just going to give us a good boost going into this away trip.
What goes into holding a team like Boston to 27 points in the second half the way that you did?
Oh man, just mentality. The mentality to win your matchup, guard. We did it as a unit. We didn't leave anybody out on the island. We guarded with all five, and everybody took it upon themselves, to own up and just accept the challenge.
Is it, I guess plenty of people know that this score was good going into the year. I mean, you guys won a ton of games. Last year you've won 30 now. Just when you say that you guys prove things, and you maybe prove things to yourself, just what specifically are you referring to as far as proving things to yourself this week?
Oh, for instance, we had the big defensive half against the second half against the Celtics. It just shows that even if we have a night where we're not making shots or anything, we can rely on our defense to give us the edge. And if we can apply that for 48 minutes, then we'll be even tougher to beat. But just things like that, spurts like that, just shows us, what we're capable of.
How much have you guys talked about this win streak?
Amongst ourselves, not much, honestly. We're like the next game mentality type team, and I think that's what we have to rely on to keep it going. We can't live in the past. We leave that for everybody else, but we just handle the task at hand.
There's not a lot of teams that can go undefeated in a stretch of 6 games and 9 nights the way that you did. Do you feel the impact of the depth that this team has and just the ability to go to guys and not have to push everybody to the max on extended minutes every single night?
Oh yeah, I mean, I used to be one of those guys, to add to the depth. I'm still one of those guys, and I think the unit that we have, all 18, is just capable at any given moment, and everybody's accepting the challenge. Everybody's ready at all times. Nobody goes in the game and doesn't have a clue what's going on. They always bring some type of impact, and I think just being able to do that throughout the course of a season, it just makes us all the more tougher to beat and more versatile.
What's the biggest challenge you guys face going to Cleveland?
Obviously, you know that they're a really hot team right now. So just carrying over what we've been applying in each of the games this week, and being able to grow, being able to put 48 minutes together. We've been fortunate enough to have a group of guys that may not have the best first half, but can turn it on in the second half and win games. But I think going into this game, we have to be able to stack each possession for 48 minutes.
Is it another kind of measuring stick game for you guys?
For sure.
AJ's obviously a very important part of what you guys are doing in that second unit. The last game and a half you haven't had him. What do you think it says about just the versatility of the team that you all have been able to succeed? Not having your second unit point guard it can be a big deal, but you all have just made it work by committee, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, we all have the next man up mentality, and we all think Coach does a really good job of throwing a lot of different lineups out there throughout the season. So I mean, nothing is new when it's time to make change or adjust on the fly. So just having the ability to do that, it's something we've always been able to do.
As Chet progresses now, he's without crutches. I just wonder what that's like for you to see him like that, and how you guys feel you maybe compounded what he would provide, while he's been gone.
It's good to see Chet make strides. The last thing we want, as a player, is to not be able to play the sport that you love, and so just to see him make progress, it's good to see off the crutches now. But I think we did a really good job being able to, fill the shoes as best we can without him, because he's very powerful force out there. He brings a lot to the team. but we got the pieces in the unit to be able to have the next man up mentality and be able to execute it when it's time. So definitely good to see him back on his feet, back moving, getting acclimated. But I think we're doing a really good job of filling those.
What's it been like playing Hartenstein as a playmaker?
Oh, it's been good. I think that's he loves to do it. You don't have to ask him to go out there and play the way that he does. Everything you see is what he loves to do. The float game, creating action, really good at it. He knows his spots, knows what to do, and is willing to do it. So it's nice.
Your shooting, not just you, but your team's shooting is not consistent all the time. And then sometimes that the players shooting falls, and then sometimes not, and then every game is different. But Mark and Shay, I think that they said that it's a trust, and you guys have to keep shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And how important is it the trust for you, like as a shooter?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's what I get paid to do. Is shoot the ball. Obviously, y'all have seen, haven't been shooting it the best here of lately, but the guys have ultimate confidence in me. I still have confidence in myself. Still taking all the shots that I like, as well as everybody else on the team. We entrust a lot of confidence in each other because we know that it's going to take more than just a few people to win these games. And so we know our identity, and we know that eventually when everything gets to rolling, it's going to make us even more dangerous.
Yeah, speaking of that shooting, I think you had kind of like a sidestep one on the right wing against New York.
Nah.
How big was that one? I mean, there was something to your body language when that one went in, or even when you put it up.
Wait. I think you're thinking of two. You're talking about the one, Karl Anthony Towns.
Yes, on the
close
right
to,
side, yeah.
I was thinking about the one before that. If you caught it, it was a sidestep, missed everything.
Oh, no, I was talking about the one you hit.
Yeah,
Going
no.
right. There seemed to be something coming off.
Yeah, I mean, just keep shooting the ball, keep having confidence. We had Lou yesterday started off kind of cold, but was able to stay confident in himself, and we kept pushing him to keep shooting it. And at the end of the game, he broke loose and kind of cracked the game for us. But just keep shooting, shoot the next one like it's going in, regardless.
Isaiah, just with that, because I guess we haven't really talked to you while you were, shooting the way you kind of mentioned having that stretch. As a guy who, I know you're more than a shooter now, but as a guy who really came up, recognized as a shooter, how do you sort of dig yourself out of a stretch like that? What are you telling yourself?
I mean, obviously, break down the shot, go through some film and whatnot, but at the end of the day, I think it's just confidence and just keep shooting. Eventually, something's got to shake. I have a really optimistic look on a lot of things, and so when it comes to that, I don't like to, dwell on it too much. I know it's part of the game. You make some, you miss some. You go on slumps, you have hot streaks, but you gotta try your best to stay level-headed through it all. And at the end of the day, just stay confident. The team has confidence in me, and just keep letting it fly.
I might be wrong, but it also seems like maybe there's an investment happening between you and Hartenstein and some others in some different shots that you're continuing to get better and better at. I was thinking about, there's so many games, but there's a wide pin down that you came around a curl screen, and that one you nailed, and that seemed like maybe a different wrinkle that you guys are continuing to add to your repertoire. Is that true? Yeah,
I mean, always trying to expand the game, figure out new ways to create more shots, create more looks, going off more DHOs that I've ever been, in my life. So that's new, but it's good because we have guys that are good at setting it up, and Hartenstein and Jay Will. So definitely just still adding wrinkles, adding ways to get more looks.
Anything else?
I do wonder, because obviously the media have made a big deal out of 30 wins, 15-game win streak, but Mark likes to say 1 of 82. These games are 182. Is it possible for you guys to sort of embrace these moments, embrace this stretch, while also maybe acknowledging that to be the team you want to be, maybe a years-long sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, we can acknowledge it, but it'd be a lot easier to acknowledge it at the end of the road when it's all said and done. I mean, what we don't want to do is get caught in the past. We know what's happening. We're aware. but we know it's at stake still. So.
Well, I've always been impressed with their home crowd. You know, regardless of how the team's performing, they have great fans, so it'll be a great environment. They're all one of 82, as I always talk about, but this one's cool. You know, they're the best team in the league. It's on their home court. They're playing really well. We're obviously playing really well. So it's a unique opportunity to compete against a great team, and we're looking forward to that.
Considering you guys about to start a 4-game road trip, has Chet kind of, I guess, reached the point where he can travel with the team? And if so, is that kind of the plan? Or is that
I don't even know if he's traveling. You know, I swear to God, I have no idea if he's traveling. So sometimes they'll travel for different reasons. And if it's best for their rehab to stay back, they'll stay back. But I literally don't even know the plan on that. So it's clearly not like a huge thing.
Mark, you mentioned last night that Boston is an actualized team and that you guys are in the process of forging yourselves the way they did. I guess, how are you supposed to know when your experiences are enough?
I don't think in competition, you never reach that. You know, like you never reach a fully formed version of yourself. Boston, when I say they're fully actualized, I just was referring to the amount of experience they have, and specifically together. That core has been together for a long time. They've been through a lot of ups and downs. They've got a ton of experiences together, but their journey's not over. I mean, they're still having competitive challenges as they move forward, and so competition is a never-ending, cycle, and you never reach any destination in it. And so we're just trying to use all of our experiences together to become a more consistent, more actualized version of ourselves, like I said. And I said that about Boston last night out of admiration. I have great admiration for them. I have great admiration for Golden State, great admiration for the teams that have been able to do that. Denver. And competing against them is a great opportunity for a team like us that's striving towards that.
Just with that, is it possible to embrace moments like yesterday, embrace moments like the stretch, while also harboring the idea that this could be a years-long journey of forging yourselves?
I mean, I think as competitors, we all just enjoy competing. And so we'd rather compete and lose than not compete. And because competing is the ultimate test of yourselves. If you're a competitor, you love being in the thick of it and risking losing, risking failure, risking adversity. It's all part of it. And we have a group of guys that love competing. That's why we loved the game yesterday. That's why we love the opportunity coming up on this trip. Not because we're guaranteed anything, but because we love to compete. And we're looking forward to the competition and whatever that brings.
Living in Cleveland, in the past, people have said small guards, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell is kind of a negative. It's obviously not. Now, has something changed? I mean, I know they got Jared Allen and those guys kind of back them up, but what's made it work this year better than years past?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You can't underestimate the cumulative experiences that they've had together. They've been together now for a couple years, and that matters. Stacking experiences as a group, figuring things out, having to persevere through adversities, falling down and having to get back up, sticking with it. All of those things can lead to breakthroughs, and I think there's probably some of that going on. Their players have grown. They still have young players that are still forming. Mobley is the guy I have in mind there. But yeah, there's no rules on who can be a good team. They've figured out a formula with this particular group of guys that's been very effective for them so far this season. They're clearly a formidable team. They're not only winning, but they're winning in dominant fashion on a lot of nights. And so, they've figured out the best way to maximize the sum of their parts, which is the challenge that all 30 teams have.
Mark, you mentioned this team's been together for a while with the Cavs. The biggest difference, I guess, would be Kenny Atkinson coming in as the new head coach. What have you seen from him just utilizing that roster differently?
I haven't watched them a ton, to be honest with you. I mean, we just don't cross paths, and when we scout other teams, we're not seeing a lot of Eastern Conference teams. So I'm less familiar with all them. I'll look into them tonight and tomorrow a little bit more. I'm more focused on our team, to be honest with you. I have great respect for Coach Atkinson, more from the work he did in Brooklyn. I thought he was a great program builder from when they took over that situation and how resourceful they were. They didn't come in with a ton of assets or a ton of anything. They traded a lot of that away. And they really scrambled and built a very, very strong infrastructure there that set them up for future success or future growth. And he had a lot to do with that. The staff that he had a lot to do with that. So my familiarity with him is more from his time there. Obviously, the work he's doing right now speaks for itself. Their whole team deserves a lot of credit. But in terms of specifics, I haven't studied them overly closely yet.
But just with that, when you are watching film as it relates to Wednesday, what are you exactly looking at?
We're not, when we're scouting and game planning right now, we're not looking at the opponent in a vacuum. We're not looking at the game in a vacuum. We're trying to build muscles over the course of the 82 games that can compound over time. And if you just see every individual game as its own entity, then there's no carryover. You just you empty the tank in that game, and then that goes away. It's a sunk cost. We try to make sure that our game planning, we're going to have a game plan for Cleveland just like we do with every team, but we want to make sure the things we're doing in that game are relevant for future games. And things we're doing in that game are testing things that we've already been working on, whether that's our own identity or whether that's things that we'll do specific in that game. So when I'm watching a team like Cleveland, first of all, I'm not diving very deep. I'm watching one game. The assistants do a really good job they're on it. So I'll watch their, briefing, if you will. I'll watch some clips that the staff prepares for the team and for the coaching staff. I'll watch maybe a game. With this type of turnaround, 2-day turnaround, I'll be able to watch a game. But I'm not diving deep in the opponent. I'm diving deep into the Thunder.
Are the numbers you're looking to get, for instance, had I told you, say, hey, Boston's going to get 92 points, you probably feel pretty good, you probably win the game. Are there numbers that you're looking at each game, say, hey, benchmark we want to get to?
No, just because every game unfolds differently, the tempos of the games unfold differently. We have metrics that we're trying to hit in terms of basically the quality of the opponent's shots, the quality of our shots, trying to get more shots than our opponent with the turnover battle and the rebounding battle, trying to limit their possessions every way that we can. But we try to eat the elephant a bite at a time. We're not we're not a big picture goal team. It's here's our standard that we want to play to on every possession. Here are the fundamentals that we need to get in on every possession, and then we just emphasize those and focus on those and test ourselves every single possession, every single night in those things, and just try to improve continuously. Because you break any game down, you break any playoff series down, it all comes down to possessions, and we just want to be good and consistent in the possessions.
What do you think of J-Dub's defensive development this season?
He's taken a nice step. I think specifically he's really learned pressure. I think early on in his career he had great length, and he had times where he would amp up the pressure too much and he'd pick up a silly foul. There's times where he didn't pressure enough. I think he's found a nice equilibrium with his ball pressure because he's got great, feet. He's got great physicality. He's got great hands. You see him pick the ball from people from time to time, even when he's not stealing the ball from them. He's very disruptive with his hands, and so, that on top of the ability to apply that to very different positions. The ability to guard a point guard, a big wing, and a big. You add those things together, and you've got a very impactful defender. And he's also a great rim contester for his size and for his position, which I think was on more display back when none of the bigs were available. But still, you'll see it from time to time in the games.
You guys,
2 more questions.
okay. You guys are kind of slow start, and then you play better in the second half. Do you give them any speech during the halftime, or is there any players actually kind of motivate the team?
The players are talking to each other throughout the whole game. You know, you got to remember we have a lot of timeouts. There's a lot of touch points where we're speaking to one another. When they come to the bench, they're talking to the assistants. They're talking to each other. So I'd say it's less speechy. It's more of an ongoing dialogue that we have throughout games and throughout the season. That the games are just an extension of. And in terms of the slow starts, you know, when you play 82 games, you're going to have stretches of games where you start slow. You're going to have stretches of games where you start fast. You're going to have stretches of games where you come out of halftime great, you come out of halftime flat. I've never been one to overreact to those types of trends. We've been a very good first quarter team for a lot of the season. We've been a very good first half team for a lot of the season. So I think we'd be like chasing our shadow to make it about that right now. It's just, again, going back to Myron's question, it's more about, you know, being a possession by possession team. You know, and being the best possession-by-possession team that we can be in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, Wednesday, Thursday, you know, all season.
Mark,
Last one, Joel.
there's a video floating around of Nikola going through some shooting before yesterday's game. I just wonder if you could describe where he's at in his process.
I mean, surgery was over the summer, so he's looking at probably 6 months post-op around there, or give or take. And like I've told you guys before, you don't go from like post-op surgery, you know, with your leg elevated to like playing in NBA games. There's a progression that they go through that he's on right now. He's more active now than he was a month ago, and his return to play will continue to progress. All I can say is that he's on track with everything we'd hope for. And what he's really on track with, from my standpoint, I'm not a doctor, but I do have great respect for the approach that he's taking to this. He has a very consistent, blue-collar, workman-like approach. He does not have a lot of emotional ups and downs. He's the same guy every day in a circumstance that is very difficult to do that. It's very invisible work, you know, and it's very mundane. And there's not a lot of light at the end of the tunnel, because today is very similar to yesterday when you're going through these types of things. And he's done a great job from his attitude to his work. I've been very impressed with him. For a young player especially, that all he wants to do is prove himself. All he wants to do is play. I think he only played like 5 games in the calendar year of 2024 or something like that. So with all the context, he's done a great job. I have a lot of respect for him.
Any update on AJ?
No, we're still gathering information on that, but when we have something, we'll let you guys know.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thank you.